It shows somebody standing over. Okay. Did you draw this picture right after the incident?
I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. At first, I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything.
During that time, the investigation team was reorganized. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the direction of Damon Gant and Lana Skye. But 2 or 3 days later... Then who was leading the investigation prior to this? I thought they were all working on this before. The memory should still have been fresh in her mind. Yeah, that's what I thought. This is so weird. Excuse me, witness. But can you please tell us why this picture is painted all black? Flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. So at the time, you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall who had come to your rescue?
No, I couldn't see him clearly. The lightning was so bright, and I was knocked to the floor.
You were knocked to the floor?
Dark had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around, and that's when the lightning flashed.
Poor Emma. I'm just glad she wasn't hurt. What happened after the lightning flashed? The judge was also a police officer. He was fired for his incompetency, and then Damon Gant put him on the judiciary so that he could control the court systems as well. Not as far-fetched now that I say it out loud. Must have fainted. You mean you didn't see the actual murder take place?
No, I'm sorry.
Sorry if you can hear sirens. The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, but the trauma of the situation understandably caused the witness to faint. Do you really need to torture this girl any further? What? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here.
Anyway, this picture.
It's very long. Exactly what she saw in that instant. Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw?
Of course, this is the exact scene.
It wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives? Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright? That happens. No, of course not. I'd better watch out or he might find some way to cut my salary.
I drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives. So I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me.
Mr. Wright, is there something that's bothering you about this picture? Huh? Oh, well. That's strange. She claims this is exactly the scene that was imprinted in her mind. And yet... Is it because the knife isn't... There's clearly a contradiction here. Is it because the knife is blunt? Okay, let's look at this. This could be the window. The tip already broke and was already inside Neil?
February 19th between 7 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. Cause of death. Single stab wound piercing the heart/lung. Assessment died from blood loss in under 10 minutes. Weapon found in wound was missing tip. But then that would be consistent. The weapon found in the wound was missing the tip. So the tip wasn't in him. But there wasn't... That was what they said, but there wasn't any... Should I present the knife? Oh, broken tip was found in the victim's body. Okay, I'll present the knife. No, it's not it. Clearly built a contradiction in that statement. They aren't, are they? Okay. Yeah, because we don't have floor plans of the office. Okay, I'll present the... I don't think that won me any points to the judge. Alright. That's not it. That's not it. Oh, God. Wait! Wait, that's strange. It was exactly the scene that was imprinted in her mind, and yet there's clearly a contradiction here. Maybe the position, because it looks like... I know! That's what I was thinking about, because... Single stab. Is this it? Do I present the autopsy report? Oh, God. 1, 2... I only have 3 more chances. Oh, God, this was it. Oh, my God. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction. What? But I still remember it just like it was yesterday.
Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us.
What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report?
Take that!
The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see its tip is broken.
Even I don't have to look that closely to see that, Mr. Wright.
Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too.
If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body.
So he would have had to have been... Okay. It was the conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer. I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma.
Objection!
If it was already in him, he would have been dead, so that's not Marshall.
And where, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem?
It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken.
Oh, what's the meaning of this? Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand.
Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there.
That's right, but what does this mean? The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken.
That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time. But she was sure she remembered correctly.
But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency.
Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already? About a little something called falsified evidence?
You're treading on thin ice, right?
All I'm saying is that this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility.
No, Order, order, order! Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted?
Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in this story, there is a lie. I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife.
If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife. What are the chances of there being two broken knives?
Oh! Another broken knife besides Joe Dark's. Could there have been one? Yes! If the witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained away by a simple observational error. Mr. Wright. In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife.
I assume, then, that you have some information about this other broken knife. If so, please feel free to enlighten us.
The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon.
If anything's broken here, it's you.
Huh?
I'm not sure. I'm sure this must all be very amusing to me, Mr. Wright.
No. The photograph! already broken prior to the murder. Oh god, you guys better help me. Amanda, I swear to god, you better have a walkthrough up because I only have 2 chances. Okay, good, thank you. The answer lies in the past, 2 years in the past. Right here inside this picture. Wait, so,
This picture of the award, sir. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? It's the broken murder weapon.
Notice the award Prosecutor Marshall is holding. That's a broken knife. As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood from this award.
So did Neil Marshall just like bring his King of Prosecutors trophy with him to the interrogation room, and then like as Dark fled, and he's like, "Let me grab my trophy and run after him." Really? Ah, maybe the picture was taken in Gant's office, and Gant and Lana's office, so I guess he could have left it in there. Neil Marshall was awarded the King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out this knife.
Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation.
See, I'm the best there is. But that can't be.
Oh, and why not, Mr. Edgeworth?
Because of the King of Prosecutors award knife with the murder weapon, then the murderer and the victim would be reversed.
What do you mean?
I mean, this man raising a knife would have to be Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. But the prosecutor was the one who actually died.
That's true. What's going on here?
It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions.
Wait! I remember now! I remember everything!
Convenient. He puts it in a special backpack. Witness.
Mr. Edgeworth!
What is it?
Could you show me your evidence list again, please?
His list? One with that picture scribbled on the back?
I knew it. This picture. I'm the one who drew it.
What? You drew that?
That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. All this time I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside me.
Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness's testimony. Would you please tell us what you recalled, Miss Skye?
Yes, Your Honor. First the knife mix-up and now the blue badger? This should be interesting. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger! He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow.
This is certainly most unusual. Objection! Try impossible! The chief of detectives hadn't even designed him until this year.
That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago.
Yes, well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. Stop! Please, don't pursue this any further. Oh. She got all intense.
Lana,
What is the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair.
But you can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that?
Chief Prosecutor Skye. We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back. Silence. The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant.
It seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter. Yeah. Is she protecting Emma? Because Emma's fingerprints were on the... But what is she protecting Emma from? She lunged at both of them and then she saw the blue badger? When you say that man, I assume you refer to Joe Dark. Yes, at least I think it was him. You think? All I could really see were shadows.
The power outage that immediately preceded the incident.
File hole.
It's also documented in the prosecutor's office reports. So that you...
Panicked and rushed towards both of them. Why would you do something so dangerous? What else could I have done? He was about to stab Mr. Marshall. She seems convinced that Dark was the one holding the knife.
But as we've just theorized, Mr. Marshall is the one holding the knife.
Well, I didn't know that at the time. When that Dark guy knocked me down, all I could think was I've got to help that other person. Well, thanks for giving this away, Amanda. I feel like you gave this away. I think that might be it. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. What do you mean, you think? It all happened so fast, and I was in shock. I don't remember everything clearly. What I did, it's all kind of a blur.
Okay. Miss Skye was almost killed before she was witness to a murder about to take place. With so much happening in a matter of seconds, a little disorientation is only natural.
I saw the man about to stab the other person who I thought was Mr. Marshall. I knew I had to stop the man with a knife.
What you did was very brave, young girl. So then, what happened?
Oh, there you go. Okay. Of either story. Another flash of lightning, and that's when she saw the blue badger. Are you sure about this? Of course, see? I even drew a picture of him. Do you think this is it? She must have seen the urn. Drew a picture of him here.
But it was the chief of detectives who thought up this
hideous beast. How dare you?
And that was just this year. The blue badger didn't exist 2 years ago. This is all quite verifiable.
I know it sounds strange. I was surprised too when I saw him at the police department. I had this nagging feeling that I'd seen him before somewhere. Now I finally remember.
Oh, brother. Just when you thought that thing had caused enough commotion. Tell us.
Where in the room did you see him dancing? He wasn't in the room. But I'm sure I saw his shadow. His shadow? So you mean you didn't actually see his face with his winning smile at all?
Just wait, Meta. Just let me figure it out.
That's right, but I still remember it. He had 3 creepy horns.
This is pointless. That thing couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken.
But she drew the picture contemporaneously. That may well be. But what's important is what caused her to think she saw what she did.
Oh, and I suppose you have an explanation?
What the shadow really was. I think it's the urn. Hadn't been dreamt up. Is it the urn? Unless there's something else in the picture. Yeah, it's either this suit of armor or the urn. But the urn would have been upside down. Is it the urn? Okay. This picture. If she's certain she saw its shadow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defense's belief that on that fateful day 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looked similar to the blue badger. Something that is now sitting in this very room. Mr. Wright! I'm gonna go with the urn, guys. Wait. In this room? I'm going with the urn, guys. The mysterious blue badger was in fact this.
Okay. But that's... what exactly is that?
I believe it's some sort of jar. Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the blue badger. Indeed, it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change our viewpoint?
Or viewpoint? Oh, thank God.
It's just so delightful. I think it's... no. No. Can I turn it? Yeah. I turn it the other way. Could that be it? How I had it before? So like that? So this is it? Well, is this a miracle or what? No one can possibly deny this jar's resemblance to the blue badger.
No.
Sure. He hates the blue badger so much.
Order! Order! The defense has proven its claim. The mysterious blue badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this. Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point?
What do you mean?
So that badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything.
I know, but that is true. Like, what? Why would it have been in that position? I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything.
Indeed. Very well then. Please tell us, what's different now than we know, now that we know the witness saw this jar?
So it was in the office, so it can't be the location. There's blood on it, so it could be the murder weapon. But it can't be the murder weapon of Neil Marshall. Because Marshall didn't have any injuries. So is it the murderer? Is it being hit? Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar.
Oh, at a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright.
Yes. Well, knowing this, where could she have seen this jar?
Where?
The location of the jar is shown in the picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on a shelf in the office of Damon Gant.
But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself.
Yes, and it is those two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room, in Chief Gant's office.
Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body?
But we saw the blood.
From Damon Gant's office to Lana Sky's office.
Yes.
Why would he do that? There's no reason.
Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason.
You know what that reason was, Mr. Wright.
Finally figured it out, have we? This is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. Did her knocking him out of the way make it? Did he hit his head against the jar? In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying?
That would have to have been the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. The man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on.
He could have run into the suit of armor.
What would he have hit? Ah!
The suit of armor!
Holding a very sharp and dangerous looking sword. Yes. And since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have had to have been Neil Marshall wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy.
No. No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking.
Yes. there's another possibility of what actually transpired in that room. Another possibility. Of course, the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nevertheless, I don't know if I can go through with this.
Mr. Wright, what's the matter? Events took place as the defense theorizes. Then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Skye knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh, gosh.
But then why would there be blood on the pot? You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No! Wow.
I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So it was the witness who took the victim's life.
By accident.
And then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented.
What? What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Skye, but given the circumstances, Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Okay, we've talked about this before. There has to be actus reus and mens rea. If she doesn't have mens rea, the intent to commit murder, she can't be a murderer.
Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have to have proof.
Tell me. Do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil? Oh, no. Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't.
Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence. We don't have evidence. It'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead.
I certainly can't get dead people to testify. It's all been a wild goose chase from the beginning.
Touché, Miss Skye. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility.
There's still another possibility?
What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life.
Oh yeah, I know, this is...
In one manner or another.
That's impossible.
Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you.
A message from the deceased. Does such a message exist? Got to think back to the court record. The real murderer's name that the victim may have left behind. It is! I don't know about her name, but the message from the deceased is already in our possession.
Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer? Do not be mistaken, Miss Skye. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There's only one thing we seek. The truth. No matter how painful it may be. No, then, Mr. Wright?
This conveys a message from the deceased. Okay. It's gotta be either the pot or so blood traces from the incident found has lines remaining on it. So it's got to be either this pot or Emma's... this piece of cloth. So this doesn't convey the message from the deceased, so it has to be the pot. This is the message left by the deceased.
This is that blue badger from before, right?
Oh, is he going to just speak the killer's name?
If that thing could, I'm sure it would.
Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. A message was left here, on the surface of this jar.
What do you mean?
If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar.
It looks like someone wiped the blood away.
Yes, but notice. For some reason, the blood on some of the fabric's fragments was not wiped away.
Yes, there's a line here, drawn in blood. So what you're saying is these dots were once lines.
You're right, and this is just like how, allegedly, Mia wrote out Maya's name. But didn't actually write out Maya's name. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message.
One that someone apparently wiped away. But blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions.
Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points. And the victim's message will become apparent.
No. Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us?
Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal to us the answer. Got to connect these dots to make letters. There's only one thing the victim would have written given the circumstances. His murderer's name. Oh no, I see it now. It's the defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma.
So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. Of all people, she may not have meant it. But in the end, the one who took the victim's life
Was Emma Skye. Joe was killed by the death penalty. He was arrested in the death penalty.
Seaworthy, you can't say I didn't warn you. Chief Kent, do you understand the implications of what you've done? What? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dirk was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death.
You evil.
Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction.
Provided by you! But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable.
I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know we aren't defenders of justice?
What?
We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter. No, it's not.
I know, it's like...
Even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery, Ultimately, the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge.
I mean... yeah, technically.
Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied.
Oh, I know, I hate Gant. Ooh, that's loud. This is the loudest courtroom chatter. The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows.
To be continued. All right.
I think that's a good place to stop on a cliffhanger. All right, what are we thinking? I know. Poor Edgeworth, and it's like he was the one who was presented with this bad evidence. Hold on, stop it. Okay. It's like it wasn't even his fault. Like the police admitted to wrongdoing. So that's really frustrating. Poor Edgeworth can't catch a break, can he? But that's a good spot to leave it, though. I'm glad we left it on a cliffhanger. I really don't think Emma did it. Yeah, like, you can sue the police department, I'm pretty sure. Or at least, I guess, that like there can be some justice given their like sanctions or something. I don't know. Don't do criminal law. But this is getting deeper. And Amanda said that that this didn't give away the killer. So we've yet to see who the real killer is. I'm pretty sure it's Gant. Just because he's the bad guy here. Just like Von Karma was the bad guy. You want Gant to get on the stand? I feel like it's going to be hard. Like, he has an answer for everything. So even when we do... Like, you saw how close I got this past time. So it's like... With Gant on the stand, I feel like that's going to be really difficult next week. I'm not looking forward to it. But we're so close to the end. Thank you so much for joining us. We're actually pretty much caught up on the YouTube, so you can see everything on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you all same bat time, same bat channel next Sunday. Bye!